Imagine two people living in the exact same town, dealing with the exact same economy. One of them grows up in a home where money is talked about openly at dinner, not to brag, just to learn. The other grows up where money only causes quiet stress, arguments, or shame. By age 35, the first person makes $85,000 but already owns a paid-off car, a growing investment portfolio, and is getting ready to buy a rental property. The second person makes $110,000 but lives paycheck to paycheck, trapped under heavy credit card debt. The higher earner is actually losing. This gap isn't about luck or discipline. It is about a secret playbook passed down in that first household, something schools and financial influencers never teach. Most adults spend their whole lives trying to figure out what that playbook is. That is what this video is about. Most regular money advice treats wealth like a simple behavior problem. Just spend less and save more. That isn't exactly wrong, but it misses the actual foundation. People who build true, lasting wealth think with a completely different mindset. This mental software gets installed early, long before your first paycheck. If you didn't get it growing up, standard budgeting apps won't fix the problem until you know what is actually missing. In this video, I will show you the 7 core money models wealthy families teach their kids. The real gap between standard earners and true wealth builders is about deep formation, not just information. If you feel stuck despite doing everything right, this will show you why. Subscribe for more deep content, and let's get into it. The standard story about rich families is very simple. People think they stay ahead just because they have more money, which buys better schools, useful connections, and inherited wealth. That is true on the surface. But there is a huge part of the story that most people completely miss. A massive amount of inherited wealth is totally gone by the second generation. By the third generation, almost all of it has disappeared. Think about that for a moment. If staying rich were just about having a pile of money, that wealth would last forever. It would stay in the family. But it does not. The truth is that getting a bunch of money without knowing how to think about it is like holding a countdown timer. The clock is ticking, and the money will eventually run out. On the other side, studies on first-generation millionaires show something surprising. The majority of these people did not inherit a fortune at all. What they did inherit, often without even realizing it, were specific ways of looking at money, risk, and time. They absorbed these frameworks while growing up, and those habits shaped every single financial choice they made as adults. So the common belief that the rich stay rich simply because they start with more is only half true. It is much more accurate to say that the rich stay wealthy because they think differently, and they pass that thinking down to their kids first. The money follows the mental model, not the other way around. This means the real gap between the rich and everyone else is not about the cash in a bank account. It is about how people use their brains. The good news is that this mental gap can be closed by anyone, but only after you see it clearly. We can call this the silent curriculum. It is the real financial education that happens in the background of a home. It does not come from formal school lessons or textbooks. Instead, kids learn it by listening to dinner table conversations, watching how their parents make choices, overhearing arguments, and noticing the everyday way money is spoken about, or ignored, while they grow up. Every single household has a silent curriculum. The only real question is what yours is actually teaching you. In some homes, the background lessons teach that money is scarce, stressful, and a dangerous topic to talk about openly. In other homes, the curriculum teaches that money is simply a tool, that risk can be managed, and that building investments is a normal part of being an adult. It teaches that wealth is something you actively build over time, not just a lucky thing that happens to you. Most people never stop to examine the hidden lessons they absorbed as kids. They just live them out every day. They make major financial decisions based on scripts they did not write and ideas they never consciously chose. What we are doing right now is giving you a chance to see that hidden curriculum clearly for the very first time. Once you can finally see it, you can check it for errors, update your thinking, and install the missing pieces you need to succeed. Think about how an operating system works on a computer. Most of the time, people only interact with the applications, which are the programs running on top. They do not think about the hidden software underneath. But that main operating system decides which programs can run, how fast they can go, and how the computer handles pressure. Two computers with the exact same parts can perform completely differently based entirely on the software running in the background. Financial behavior works the exact same way. Your specific choices, like which bank account to open, how much to save, or whether to take a risk, are just the applications. They are visible, and you can change them easily. But underneath all of those choices is your personal operating system. This is your deep set of beliefs about what money means, who is allowed to have it, how it behaves, and what you can do with it. Here is the most important part. If you install a great new program on a broken operating system, it still will not work right. This is exactly why people can learn about index funds, read every money book on the shelf, and still fail to build wealth. The new information they learned is perfectly correct, but the software underneath is still running old, broken code. The hidden lessons you learned growing up form that background software. The rest of this video is about upgrading it, piece by piece. Let us make these hidden lessons concrete with real numbers. Imagine two people who are both 22 years old, and start with the exact same salary of $48,000. They both read the exact same advice. Invest early, use your retirement account, and stay out of credit card debt. They both try their best to follow it. But there is one major difference. Person A grew up in a home where wealth was explained as a clear system. They learned the difference between things that make money and things that cost money. They understood why their parents drove an older car instead of a brand new one, and tracking the family's total value felt normal. Person B grew up in a home where money was a private, stressful topic. It was managed 1 month at a time, only reacting when bills arrived. At age 22, Person A saves 10% in their retirement account and starts a small investing account. They do not do this because they have super discipline, but simply because it is what they saw their parents do. It feels normal to them. By age 30, they have saved about $87,000 in investments. Person B saves just 4% to get their company's basic match. They spend their 20s moving into a pricier apartment, financing a car, and carrying $8,000 in credit card debt. By age 30, they only have about $31,000 in investments. Their income was identical, and their basic knowledge was the same. Yet, the $56,000 gap at age 30 came entirely from the lessons they absorbed growing up. Now watch how that difference grows over time with a standard 7% return. Without adding another single dollar, Person A's $87,000 grows to about $332,000 by age 55. Person B's $31,000 only grows to about $118,000. That is a massive $214,000 gap created by just 8 years of different choices in their 20s. It was not about intelligence, it was about their background software. It gets even wider because Person A does not stop at age 30. They keep learning, buying rental properties, and building new income streams. Each good choice opens the door to the next one. Person B is not lazy or uneducated. They are just running the broken system they were handed. This is the real cost of those missing childhood lessons. It costs you money and options, but these models can be learned at any age once you know what they are. Meet Marcus. He is 34 years old and works as a manager at a shipping company in Atlanta. He earns $92,000 a year, which is great money. He is hardworking and responsible. He saves a little in his retirement account, keeps a small emergency fund, and pays his bills on time. He has no major debt except for his car and his house. By all accounts, Marcus should be building wealth. He earns plenty and has good discipline. Yet, his total net worth is only about $74,000, and it is almost all locked away in his retirement fund where he cannot touch it. His monthly cash flow is tight. When his home heater broke last winter, he had to put the $3,200 repair bill on a credit card and spent 4 months paying it off. Marcus is stuck because he lacks a proper system. He was never taught how to make money work for him. Growing up, his parents managed money defensively. They paid their bills and did not overspend, but they never talked about investing. They modeled the idea that money is something you safely hide away, not something you actively use to grow. Now meet David. He is 35 and earns $78,000, which is $14,000 less than Marcus. He works in the exact same city. Based on income alone, David should be far behind Marcus. But he isn't. David grew up in a middle-class home where his father owned 2 small rental properties. Dinner conversations were different. His dad talked about properties as tools that created extra income. By the time David was a teenager, he understood how investments worked. He knew that assets could make money without trading hours for a paycheck. At age 35, David's net worth is around $214,000. He owns a small condo that he rents out for profit, and his savings are strong. He does not feel rich, but his financial setup has layers and options. David has a $140,000 wealth advantage over Marcus, despite earning less. Marcus is not failing because he is lazy. He is just playing a game where he never learned the actual rules. David is winning because he was taught a special language for money. That language is learnable, and Marcus can still master it, but it will take time. That is the real price of the hidden gap. Here is the part that most financial content completely skips. Why doesn't Marcus just figure it out on his own? He is a smart person. He has access to the exact same internet, books, and videos as David. So what is the actual trap that keeps him stuck in the exact same loop? It is called cognitive scarcity, and it does not mean Marcus lacks intelligence. It simply means that when money is always a source of stress, your brain gets too full. The mental bandwidth that you could use for long-term planning gets completely eaten up by short-term survival. This is not just a metaphor. Research shows that heavy financial stress acts like a tax on your brain. When you are constantly worrying about whether a repair bill will clear before your mortgage payment, your brain cannot focus on building wealth for the next decade. It is physically impossible to do both at the same time. That is not a personal weakness. It is just how human brains work under pressure. This is where the problem becomes a trap. Households that lack this hidden financial curriculum are usually the exact same homes where money causes constant stress. The lack of a system creates the stress, and the stress prevents you from building a system. It is a brutal, closed loop. Meanwhile, kids who grow up in homes where money is discussed as a system do not see it as a threat. They see it as a puzzle, one they have the right tools to solve. That single psychological difference shapes every financial choice they will make for the rest of their lives. This is why simply giving Marcus more information does not close the gap. You cannot think about the long-term future when your brain is stuck in short-term survival mode. The fix is not more facts. It is a structural change in how you view money. Wealthy households provide this new viewpoint automatically, but anyone can learn to reframe their mind. The problem isn't Marcus himself. It is simply the stressful mental environment that was passed down to him by a family doing the best they could with what they had. Here is what the personal finance industry wants you to believe. The path to wealth is just a simple set of actions. Save 20% of your money, max out your retirement account, stay out of debt, and buy index funds. They tell you to just follow the steps to get the right outcome. But here is what is actually true. Your actions always come directly from your beliefs. Every single time. The person who easily puts money into an investment account at age 25 is not necessarily more disciplined than someone who does not. They are just running a different operating system. Their actions come naturally from their mental framework. It does not require a ton of willpower because it does not feel like a painful sacrifice. To them, it just feels like the obvious, normal thing to do. Of course you invest your money. Of course you focus on assets. And of course you track your net worth. That is just how life works in their mind. On the other hand, the person who struggles to save $500 is not weak. They are simply acting perfectly according to the broken software that was installed in their brain as a child, long before they were old enough to question it. The surprising truth is this. The wealth gap is not mainly about how much money people earn or what opportunities they get. It is a curriculum gap. These gaps are the most quietly damaging kind because they are completely invisible. They grow worse over time in silence, and they make you feel like a personal failure when you are actually just dealing with an inherited problem. The great news is that a curriculum can always be updated. You can do it at age 34, 45, or 58. The silent lessons from your childhood do not have to be your permanent operating system. But to fix the system, you must see the old lessons clearly, name them, and then deliberately replace them with better ones. What I just described can feel quite heavy. It should, because these patterns are very real. But feeling heavy does not mean you are helpless. Here are 3 specific actions you can take this week to begin checking and upgrading your hidden financial software. First, run a money origin audit. Take 20 minutes and write down the 3 most common sentences you heard about money growing up. Focus on what you actually heard, not what people try to teach you. What did the adults say when bills arrived, when someone spent too much, or when others had more wealth? Those sentences are your current operating system. Beside each one, write down the exact adult financial behavior that sentence logically creates. This quick exercise can reveal patterns in 20 minutes that usually take months to figure out. Second, calculate your asset-to-obligation ratio. Wealthy homes track this instinctively, but most people have never even heard of it. Add up the total value of your assets, things that make money without your active labor, like investments or business equity. Next, add up your fixed yearly obligations, bills you cannot cancel with a single phone call, like a mortgage or car payment. Divide your total assets by your yearly obligations. If your ratio is below 3-to-1, your setup is too heavy on spending. This number is your starting baseline, and now you have a clear goal to improve. Third, install one new conversation. If you have children, a partner, or a younger sibling, have one open conversation about money this week that you never had growing up. Do not give a boring lecture. Instead, explain why you invest, show them how a brokerage account works, or walk them through a recent financial choice you made. Research shows that the framework matters far more than the actual account balance. You can start passing down this healthy mindset right now, no matter how much money you currently have. The background lessons you received as a child were not your fault, but what you choose to do with your new knowledge is completely up to you. Marcus is not too late at age 34. He is simply seeing his operating system for the very first time. The moment you can finally see the system is the exact moment you can begin to change it. You have to build it yourself, and now you know exactly where to start.